Well, here at KPIX, we're highlighting some incredible stories for Asian American Pacific Islander Month. And today we introduce you to Dennis Makishima. For more than 50 years, he has led a tiny but growing culture in the East Bay. Makishima is considered by many a master of aesthetic pruning and an influential figure in California's bonsai culture. That is the Japanese art of shaping and cultivating miniature trees. But a few years ago, he decided to quit and give it all away. I met the master himself to find out why.
Give Dennis Makishima a tree.
You know, I have some little buds here.
And a pair of pruning shears, and you will see him in his natural element.
So I like to think that I was meant to do this kind of work.
The kind of work that takes time.
But you got to think at least 5 years in advance.
That's patience.
Yeah, it's patience, and it's also it's a lesson in life.
It is a life that has grown for more than 50 years. Makishima, whose work as an aesthetic pruner, helping to shape the art of California's bonsai culture by giving each of the thousands of trees he has ever touched an actual voice.
There's the essence in every tree. Find it, bring it out. I could do the same thing with trees. I can make them talk to you. Part of the principle of aesthetic pruning and bonsai is, I feel, you got to tell a story.
His story begins with his father, who after World War II, when thousands of Japanese Americans returned home from the internment camps, many had trouble finding work.
My father was a gardener. He had to be a gardener because after World War II, you couldn't get another job. So when I was growing up, I was embarrassed by what my father did.
But ironically, one day after helping a friend prune a tree, Makishima quickly realized he had the eye.
You just naturally saw it.
Not naturally. Well, when I first started, I kind of sensed. Then I realized this was just meant to be. But I don't think I call it fate. It was just something that I was destined to do, this kind of stuff.
Destiny would take him to Japan, where he would learn the art of the bonsai from the masters and was honored by the country. But of all of his accomplishments, Makishima is most proud of branching out to the next generation.
You lose kind of time concept.
Students like Yuki Nara, one of 106 apprentices who carry on his legacy.
As a human being, I respect, I love him so much. I learned from him. Without him, I wouldn't be able to doing this.
Even teaching this reporter what not to do.
Cut this part off.
This whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
So from this little
right,
knob right there?
That's right.
Okay.
So you just ruined the tree, but that's okay. It's for
Just ruined the tree.
it's good to be humble.
His sense of humor as big as his heart. During his career, he had accumulated more than 600 bonsai, his backyard resembling a tiny forest.
It was creative to pack in so many trees that all looked like they were stacked on each other. But individually, they all had a story, and I worked on each one.
And then 3 years ago, Dennis felt he had completed their stories and decided to stop and give them all away.
I completed the goal. Then I started realizing I'm just looking at these trees now.
He donated them to the Golden State Bonsai Collection in Oakland, who sold them to raise money for their garden.
The trees are probably worth about $1 million, but they made about $150,000 because it was an auction. People came from all around California, and some people outside of California.
And after 50 years cultivating his own story, Dennis Makishima also deciding it too was complete.
So if you're going to go out that way. I also thought I made a difference in the bonsai world.
But even in retirement, his legacy will continue to grow through the students he has taught, through the trees he has touched.
Well, at the peak of his business, Makishima had close to 3,000 clients, including Disneyland, where he was hired by the park to prune and revive a dwarf pine planted by Walt Disney himself. You can find all of our stories for AAPI Heritage Month on KPIX.com, and be sure to watch our Legacy and Leadership special coming up on KPIX. You can see it next Thursday, May 22nd at 7:30 p.m. and May 24th at 7 p.m.